Thanks for joining Esteemed Television, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Augustine Amba. Let me start by wishing you a very, very happy new year. A very, very happy 2023. It is a year of a lot of hope for Ambazonians. I ended last year with a video. In that video, I talked about what is happening in Holland. How the Prime Minister of Holland admitted that slavery was a crime against humanity, and that country is is establishing some programs to really show that they really feel bad about their ancestors. I'm not talking about them because, they have the benefits of slavery everywhere around them. The wealth that was created, that has become intergenerational wealth, which if you reverse has become intergenerational exploitation and poverty on Africans. The Dutch came and accepted that situation, that yes, it did happen. It was a crime against humanity. We are going to educate our young people and the young people of the other parts of the world that slavery either transported people to, and it's become their own homeland now. We are going to do something to remember this crime, and hopefully we move forward as one humanity. That's basically what the Dutch are saying. They're also saying that they will recognize those who fought against slavery but were persecuted for doing the right thing. They are going to go back now and honor them. That again is a good thing. The other good thing that the Dutch can do is join those who are still suffering colonization right now, because like I said in that piece, colonization is another form of slavery, one that is even more efficient. If the Dutch can join the Italians in condemning those who are still practicing slavery in Africa today, I think the world will continue to be a better place. The progress of humanity will be greater. This channel is a channel that's dedicated. It's dedicated to the people of Ambazonia and their problems. Their problems in a colonial state. It's even worse than a colony. They are a colony of a colony, which means that the French make Cameroon, which was a trust territory. They were not supposed to make it their colony, but they made it their colony. They're part of the masters of the universe, and then engineered it, or through it acquired Ambazonia, and then unleash the poor, the impoverished citizens of their colonies on Ambazonians. And so Ambazonians are really a colony of a colony, and they themselves call it un colonie d'une colonie. So Ambazonians are suffering, but their suffering is worse because these are people who know.
I'm a physician. I'm a university lecturer. I'm a researcher. That's what I want to do. I don't want to do this. I'm forced to do this because none of that makes sense to me if my people are dying.
Sometimes they say ignorance is bliss. No, the Ambazonians know that there's something better than what they're being offered. They can do better for themselves than than being given to slower. They don't want to be ruled by people who don't have any reason to rule them. And that is what has been created for the Ambazonian people. And so it hurts. And they try everything to behave civil. They try to speak, they try to complain, they try to protest peacefully. But every time they have been met with brutality. Every time they have been met with brutality. And all of this will not be happening unless there are collaborators within Ambazonia that is allowing room for enemies to come and thrive in Ambazonia. In that show, I did point out that CDN is part of the forces that have been unleashed on the Ambazonian people as they have been fighting. And look, I'm going to say something. I want to say this because after that show aired, I've seen a lot of I've learned something about our people, that you can really take smart people and very easily spin them around and they start drinking Kool-Aid and dying. And it's not being done by Jim Jones, because Jim Jones probably had a lot of more power over the people he actually gave them that deadly Kool-Aid than the people who are giving some of our smartest people this Kool-Aid. And they drink and then turn against their own revolution. I'm going to tell you what the narrative about CDN has been. And I've been told this by people who know CDN very well. So what is happening is that when the Ambazonian revolution started, there are two enemies that the French and their colonial subjects in La République du Cameroun fear the most as far as their prize colony of Ambazonia is concerned. They fear Nigeria and they fear the Ambazonian diaspora. And they fear the Ambazonian diaspora. Somehow, through the French or through bribery, we can't say, but they were able to control Nigeria to a point where Nigeria joined them in committing the crime that has what we call Naira 10 in jail today. But containing the diaspora was a problem. It is still a problem. When the Ambazonian diaspora started showing its muscles, La République du Cameroun, the Cameroon Republic, sent its ministers. They went to Belgium. They came to Washington D.C. and they also went to South Africa. They were trying to appease, to gain control of this diaspora, because they know that if they don't gain control of this diaspora, their success on the ground would not be there. But when they went to Belgium, we all saw what happened. It was a disaster.
Voilà Laurent et So là-bas. Voilà le ministre. Voilà le ministre là-bas. Le ministre de la République, hein, ce n'est pas notre ministère. It's not our minister. La République minister. There's a guy down there. La République guy. He wanted to fight on in Belgium. They are crazy.
They came to Washington, failed. Went to South Africa, failed. what happened after that is what created CDN. And so they created this CDN. If you in the last show, you heard me say that CDN was created by the people who created it before they even knew what to do with it or even how to go out and speak to other people. But they knew that they have been created as a solution to contain the Ambazonian diaspora. When they sent their francophone ministers to come and do that, it failed woefully. So they said, okay, you control the diaspora by using the people in the diaspora. And so your CDN was created, and then they formed their special agenda NGOs. They formed their special agenda NGOs through which business is done. So those of you who were screaming left and right, becoming children instead of the adults that you are, what you fail to understand is that you were played. You drank the Kool-Aid, and you're going around fighting against the revolution that you grew up in, you despised, and somehow you thought these people you've never heard of, you've never seen them fight anywhere, they suddenly show up. When they show up, they first of all tell you about their degrees. Oh, I'm XYZ, I have a master's in this, and honors in this, and blah, 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 blah. If you live in the West, you don't hear people go around saying, oh, my name is XYZ, I have a bachelor's in this, I have a master's in this, and I work here, No, you don't hear that. These are people who come from a tradition to impress you. I don't know who taught them, but when I listened to it the first time, I was shocked. But right from the beginning, they started proving that they were not for Ambazonia. Remember, they did a survey. I thought they were trying to be scientific, trying to come and convince this smart diaspora. The way I think they must have told them the way to convince this smart diaspora is to come and play the game that they play. Be intellectual with them. Do a survey. And they did a survey about independence and came and they reported that a high percentage that wanted independence. And then they come and say, oh, they wanted autonomy. They changed the word independence to autonomy. We pointed this out. But there is a reason, my friends, why CDN was formed by people you have never seen them concerned with our issues or with the issues of Ambazonian independence or the suffering of the Ambazonian people in that French colonial empire, suddenly come out and start introducing themselves to you, telling you what their degrees are. And then at every meeting, I don't know if you've noticed that, at every meeting where they are and we are contributing, people are contributing their $50 and $100, Henry Atem contributes $1,000 cash he will add on top. Henry Atem is a W-2 wage earner, which means that he gets his pay from somebody. He does not have a business. Well, maybe he has a business, but he hasn't told us what the business is. We don't know him. We know where he works. So he is a W-2 wage earner, but he flashes $1,000 just like that. Who gets a paycheck in the United States, has a car to pay, a mortgage to pay, and all the other bills that we pay here, and is able to go everywhere and give $1,000. He even gets more in other places. Where do you think he gets the money from? Have you ever asked yourself that? Have you ever asked yourself, why do these people who, they were not the Gojidinkas, they're not the Siga Sangas, they're not the Mukongs, they are not the children of these people, suddenly show up speaking very well, And then before you know, they have parliamentarians all over the world coming on a show talking about it. Have you ever thought about all of that? That why we are having problems getting people to pay attention to our struggle, getting any country to speak on our behalf. This CDN pops up and is able to line up all these people. Look, I listened to one of their shows, the first show they made. I love that show. I love the speaking. I was almost convinced. What I mean by I was almost convinced is that I almost drank the Kool-Aid. So today was really a breath of fresh air in terms of the quality of people speaking, in terms of the variety of people. I mean, we had ambassadors speak, we had politicians speak, European parliamentarians, academicians. We had people from all sorts of, from all kinds of. We had a lot of specialty in there. That's what I'm trying to say. That we had people who came from a very, very varied background, and I liked a lot of what they were saying. It told me that people are actually very interested in this struggle, and are trying to help from their own little corner. That was refreshing. But I totally was very impressed with our people. Let me see what I write. I said, doctors talk like people who did not chop school fees. I said, I met our people, the guys who organized this, they were speaking like people who no chop school fees. I don't know how else I can say it, but you know what I mean. You know? Their tone was right. Their composure, their articulation, their humility. Their humility. And humility really is a sign of maturity. So I did that show. I heard them speaking. They spoke really well. They have all these wonderful diplomats, parliamentarians from Kenya, high Western officials in Canada, professors, all of these, they're talking. So when I put that show, Henry Atem calls me. The one question I asked him, I said, my brother, you guys you spoke really well. But what I was most surprised is how you got parliamentarians from Kenya, and all these other people in Europe, in Canada, speaking on our behalf. How do you put them together? He told me that it was the State Department that facilitated it, the United States State Department that facilitated it for them. Ooh. That is when I started thinking this is not good. Why? Because the American government's policy right now, since then until now, is a one Cameroon policy. So, are they financing you? That I cannot know. I cannot answer. But here's what you know. You can ask. If you ask, if you ask Henry Atem, where do you get, who is your sponsor? He said, oh, it's just money from us. But if you go and look at them, all of them are W-2 wage earners. So where do they get their money from? Have you ever wondered why Dr. Dennis Foretia, who was part of that leadership, has a foundation in Yaoundé? Henry Atem become prominent, has a foundation down there in a country where, like somebody wrote, that there's no diaspora sponsored NGO allowed in Cameroon. All of them have been closed, or you work in secret. Even the Aya Foundation, whose work we know doesn't exist in Cameroon, has a lot of difficulties. But there's the Atem Foundation, the fly in, fly out. Have you ever wondered why? The same Atem whose foundation is flourishing in Tico, flourishing everywhere, people lined up, he takes pictures and it's the same face of CDN. Have you ever put those connections. And so they go around. They have so many. How do I put that? They have so many offices in that CDN. Obviously there's a board of directors, then the employees, then the advisors, then they have, I can't remember all of them. There's so many. The House of Elders or something like that, and they create all of it in order to suck all our people. They go around convincing all our people, and all of them are falling like never mind. But all of them joined, and Henry Atem, before you know, he's gathered everybody, bring them to Canada. And when you look at it, it should be very obvious to you. And I'm so disappointed. I am so disappointed how many people fell into this whole scheme. They went around, collected information, even collected the information of the fighters, collected their phone numbers. I hear that Canada even calls the ground zero and talks to fighters there. In the last show, I was talking about us being organized. If we're organized, how do you think some third party, fourth party even, would penetrate us like that? So I oppose people meeting in Canada. I think all of Ambazonia is dancing to Canada until it failed. I'm going to read a thing to you in my disappointment that I wrote in response to some of our very dedicated compatriots who were drinking this Kool-Aid and thinking that there's something in Canada, and they believe in CDN. Everything that whole plan worked. The whole plan to the failures of the ministers, Cameroon ministers, going to Belgium, Washington, and or wherever else they went, failed. The next plan that was devised won, big time. I'm going to read what I in my frustration I wrote to somebody. I said, I really don't see or understand why people think the Canadians are up to something good. They are not. They are responding to a request from their Cameroon friend to help bring home their unruly child. Yes, child, because they are treating us as children, and we're acting as children, believing like children. When the world was ready to end apartheid in South Africa, they spoke directly to Nelson Mandela and the ANC. They did not continue to speak with Chief Mangasutu Buthelezi, who had been the go-to person, including visits to the White House. Okay? So you really think that somehow the resolution to give Ambazonians what they deserve and what they've been fighting for, excuse me, you really think the way to get to Ambazonians' independence is through Canada with Chuayaba, Akwanka, Jomba Akuru, and the other sideshow players, when Gojidinka, Bobga, Wiba, and some of the people who have paid prices, big prices, for this thing are left aside? Do you want to get your shoes made? I go talk to I go and talk to a woman selling her gari in the store or in the open market, and I'm bringing you home because you know when we grow up, we go and sew our clothes with the tailor. Okay, when you want to sew your clothes, do you go to the tailor or you go to the market woman who is selling her granite? So that's what is happening. If you see Canada, take Chuayaba, takes Akwanka. Akwanka resigned from the struggle a long time ago when COVID started, and the Secretary General of the UN said ceasefire. He was the first to jump, and I heard that he took his people to Ghana or something like that. These are people who have been in the struggle for a long time and have never grown. They have been benefiting. They have been benefiting from the struggle. And when things became rough on the ground, they create teams that go and capture people for ransom. You've heard the stories. Sometimes they don't even capture them directly. They can't even capture them directly. They don't have the ability. I mean, come on. Is that who will get our independence from? No. So that could not. So if you just look at what was going on, it should already told you that there's something not right there. When fighters, especially international fight as recognized like ours, when you want to resolve it, you don't resolve it like that. I have this picture for you. But before I finish, let me before I go to that, let me continue reading this. Until the international community starts engaging with the people who have been fighting and paying the price for our struggle, we really need to chill and not take them seriously. They are treating us like children, and we are behaving like they imagined, and therefore no respect for us, our cause, and our issues, and our stand, which we don't have one, evidenced by swallowing hook and sinker anything and everything they dangle in our faces. Thibault Nash is already doubting what the Canadians are doing. What are we doing? Hoping that Chuayaba and Akwanka are going to bring us independence? Please, let's be serious and demand that our issues be treated with some respect and seriousness. So that was my response, and that is the response that I would like to give all of our other people who believe in this. And you have to believe this because if you've been paying attention, you would know that when this struggle started, there was a French official. I'm going to put his picture up. I just came across this one here. Here, this was on Facebook. There's this comrade who came and said that, I'll read what he wrote. He said, "How did you think and want this conflict to ever end if we don't start making baby steps in diplomacy?" Because he really thinks that what's going on in Canada is diplomacy. That is part of diplomacy. And here's what I wrote to him. I said, there are no baby steps made trying to empower Mobutu's and Buthelez's, my friend. It is a big step backwards. What is going on in Canada is Cameroon talking to Cameroon, National Dialogue 2.0. Canada is only a facilitator, quote-unquote facilitator, because that's what Canada said, that they are only facilitators. Okay? Not even mediators, just providing their buildings and security. Cameroon had already cut their deals with these hungry sellouts and is looking only for a venue to try to make it look legit. Remember, only groups and people selected by them, Cameroon, attended or are participating. It will fail again like National Dialogue did. National Dialogue 1, I mean. Yes, Ambazonians are not fools, even if we all don't get it the first time. Okay? I really want our people to I think I know the suffering is heavy on us, and we want it to end. We are very peaceful people, but I want everybody to know that every people who have said they are peaceful, no, your peace soon disappears because it will be taken away from you. Okay, the most respected countries and the countries that have done well in this world are not those that say we are peaceful. They are those that fight for their rights and defend it to the death. And you can see that since we started fighting, like the Republic first came in and they burned villages. I don't think they have any more villages to burn. They've burned hospitals. They've killed our people. Remember, I saw this Fundong murder where they just went and murdered teenage kids standing by the side of the road. I don't know where they got them. They've murdered until I think they're really running out of them. They've burned villages. No more villages to burn. They've killed, they've burned corn, granite, fufu, everything. They've destroyed food.
Backside was Somanto now Somanto backside. You see the way they move the thing in Bossa, the one day no bonfire. You see
these are not people that we will ever live with again. I think Canada is finding out that their friends can actually not be their friends. They can meet with them and they say, "No, I never met with you." In fact, if it comes to a place where they can tell Canada, "No, we are not your friends," they will say it. But Cameroon went to Canada and asked them to do this, and that's because after 6 years and counting, they have done all they have used all the violence they can, and it hasn't given them the results they expected, because we are not the same caliber as the people of their own country that they have kept ignorant. They have totally emasculated. We refuse to ever be emasculated, because no humanity should be emasculated by another human. It's a crime against humanity. I want to show you this Frenchman, because if you are keeping good notes, and you're listening carefully, you will know that the French and its colonial subjects in Cameroon, they haven't changed one word. They're very constant. So Mr. Philippe Leroux, when the crisis started, said la crise actuelle se résoudra au Cameroun. So this crisis shall be resolved in Cameroon. That's my, sorry for my French. And here's what I wrote. I said, the above is a statement that was put out by this official from the Embassy of France in Cameroon when the crisis just started. I took note of it and saved it. There has been no change in French Cameroon attitude since. We have not done all we could to change that attitude or stand. They did not intend Canada to be anything other than National Dialogue 2.0. That is why they selected only their collaborators to sit on the other side of the table in Canada. The statement coming out after the Canadians' announcement talking about British Southern Cameroon and UN Trust territory were not in conformity with their goals and evoking more than they want to go back to root cause of the conflict. Professor Herman just talked about the necessity of multilateralism and ensuring a non-state actor was on the table. Absolutely necessary, or we don't meet Cameroon and France anywhere on their own terms. That is what adults do and people who are serious about their business do. I hope we are learning. Now, when I wrote all of this, I did not know that Cameroon would come out and say, no, we never. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want us to spend more time understanding the French, spend more time understanding the animals that they have unleashed on us, the animals that they have trained in Cameroon. I'm calling them animals because that is what they do. They do what animals do. Those are not humans. They murder mercilessly. They murder priests. They murder senators, Semenge. They murder children. When I talk of murdered children, that is what they've done with baby Martha, the baby in Muyuka, the ones in Bamenda, the many other that they've burned in houses in Gabu and all over the place in Kumba. It's not only mercilessly burning villages and burning the old in it. It's not only what they've done, recruiting Hausa and Bororo herdsmen to go and burn villages. We've heard of war. But you would think that in a war you target the military. But who is La Republique fighting? Ambazonia has never been armed. So when you carry your guns and you go and you start burning villages, what are you doing? This whole thing was a police case. Paul Biya flew back from Ivory Coast where he went and met his masters and they told him what to come and do. And he came back. He came back before the conference ended. He only goes to conferences where there are white people. I don't know if he's ever attended any OAU meeting. If he attended, you can count them. In his 40 years, you can count them with your fingers. But my understanding is that he doesn't even attend those. But when his masters are meeting, he flies there. If he's giving New Year speeches addressing his masters, he does that. Everything about them is addressing the West that has protected him and has allowed him to become this animal on his own people. You see, Western governments are put in power by their own people, and so they take care of their own people. The people who are in power in Cameroon are those that don't believe in the humanity of the people in Cameroon to run their lives and own what is theirs by God's will. That's who has been empowered to reign over them for all this while. And then somehow They turn around again and then laugh at them. You know, it's the same as when the world was seeing industrial revolutions and all these revolutions. Africans were the ones caught to build those revolutions, and after they've built them, after 400 years of devastating those communities, they turn around and laugh them and then you want to say, oh, they're stupid, they're not smart. When I say colonization, it's another form of slavery. It's another form of in the same way. They take Paul Biya, they impose them on the Cameroon people, and then turn around and laugh at the Cameroon people, and then give them aid, as though they are not humans who can build their own. And they do all of this because of the resource rich and the abilities of those people. The people are smart, they're strong, enduring, so they become slaves. Are they able to accomplish it with a gun? So, anyways, I just wanted to welcome this 2023 in the history of Ambazonia, or in the lives of Ambazonia, because I think it will be an important year. And it's a year which is starting well, because what Cameroon tried to do in Canada has backfired. And dumb as they are, they don't know how to handle it. And then they begin to now reveal to the rest of the world what we have been suffering for 60 years. That's who the UN and the British took and gave us to them. Punishing us for what? The people who came into Ireland and was threatening were not Ambazonians. It was refugees who came, and because they're fighting the French, they were looking for ways to help themselves, and that's where the warrior of communism came. And then they say, oh, you're not going to have your independence now because these refugees came into your land and they're trying to fight their own. They're trying to fight the French in their land. I mean, for that, Ambazonians have paid dearly. All the murders, all the exiles, everything has its origins from the West. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think we should be wiser. Our independence is not going to come easily. I think people are beginning to wake up. I think people needed to wake up from this sleep, because the number of people that believe that there was something in Canada that's going to come out, and somehow the prisoners will be saved and there will be peace. What peace? You think Cameroon or the French will ever give up Ambazonia for what it's doing to them? Easily? That easily? No. Canada was a way to tighten the noose on our necks, on the necks of Ambazonians. It just backfired, because they don't know how to do anything. You know, in the West or in the United States, they say French tanks fire backwards. And they've continued to fire backwards. They gave them, Barrister Bob Gard will always say, show us the Treaty of Union. Show us the document. They don't have it, because they screwed up. So they screwed up in Canada also. But Ambazonians need to hunker down. They need to develop stiff spines and win this thing, because it's winnable. It's very, very winnable. They've already collapsed.